Usually, I don't know what I'm talking about when I get in front of the camera. I usually come here and sit for a bit, and I usually try to find whatever is on my mind or what I'm feeling. Because for me, this is a video journal. I'm journaling my thoughts, my experiences, and I'm relaying it to myself and also an audience. I guess what's on my mind currently is doing nothing is really hard. Like a couple months ago, I realized that I was a bit in a rut. I was constantly on YouTube. I was constantly watching anime. I was constantly reading manga. I was constantly playing League of Legends. Like my mind was just always distracted. And when my mind is distracted, I can't focus on anything else. I can't start a new life path. I can't create something genuine because I'm always filled with dopamine. And I'm not here to talk about dopamine detox. There are many videos on dopamine detoxes. And yes, you would call what I'm doing technically a dopamine detox. But I feel like clearing your mental space, clearing your physical space, clearing spaces, even emotional, really help us to find a sense of direction, purpose, and it stabilizes our entire being. I find we're too busy running after one thing or the next, and we never take time to just be still. Our society has something against being still. Profitable activity is what society asks of us. And if we're not doing pleasurable ones, we're doing ones for monetary gain. There's never really a time to just sit and be still. And I think that's just a result of capitalism, you know? So I'm spending some time just not being on social media really, not really being on my manga channels and my all of my other vices. I'm not playing League of Legends. I'm home, just sitting with my emotions. It's uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. When I first started, I could not sit still properly. I just cried and cried and cried because why we are always moving, it usually comes from we're avoiding something internally. Sitting still, removing all of the distractions brings that trauma, those feelings that you've been feeling to the surface. And we don't want to deal with them. But to be productive, truly productive, and to find direction, those emotions need to be looked at. Our emotional well-being is probably one of the most important aspects of our being, besides our spiritual being. Our emotions drive our every decision, and we take them for granted. We neglect them. We don't accept them. We look down upon them. All of these things we do to ourselves. We only respect our mental ability, our intelligence, and to some degree, our physical body. I know some people really don't care about their physical body, but we have enough of a health conscious culture and a gym culture that I do think that we put emotions last on the list. And that's very harmful because emotions, they do not sit still. When you think about the word emotion, emotion, it's energy in motion. E is energy. And when we don't acknowledge that energy moving within us, it comes out in very toxic ways. Not only in our relationships, but it hurts ourselves. I'm sure you've heard of studies where people have found that stress and chronic stress and also, subdued emotions can cause illness in the body. As a matter of fact, most chronic illnesses are a result of trapped emotions that haven't been processed, trauma that hasn't been processed. My wife was reading a book called The Body Keeps Score, and that book talks about it really well. How our bodies store this energy and how it hurts us in terms of chronic illness and the like. Some of these changes can be really rapid. Some of these changes take a lot of time. And some of them kind of just explode out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere. You might have something in your childhood past that you have not looked at. And let's say you reach 35. That energy, that pain, can usually find some way to move within the body and cause a serious illness. Remember, a lot of the emotions we don't like to acknowledge are negative. And if you think about the laws of causality, that negativity has to go somewhere. And it usually affects the body negatively because it's a negative energy. But sitting still allows us to process that energy, transmute it, and heal what's within. I see a lot of people who go about a spiritual route. They kind of neglect that negative part of themselves. We have a toxic positivity culture where no one wants to do anything that's difficult. Everyone wants ease. Everyone wants peace. And I said this to myself just recently. If one day I was in a tribe and my tribe had to fight against another tribe, the decision to go to war is a very peaceful one. Think about it. An indecisive leader will usually find himself in turmoil because he can't make a decision on what to do and how to lead his village. That leader usually never accepts the circumstances he's in. He's usually second guessing if the enemy is really on the door, if his village actually needs to do this. A lot of self-doubt comes into play. Whether he chooses to go to war or whether he chooses to find a peaceful negotiation, both sides result to peace. And I'm not talking about peace necessarily within the tribe or around the tribe, but peace within the leader, because we're very indecisive. But you can only make a solid decision if you know what you're feeling, if you know yourself. And a lot of us, we don't make decisions, we let the world make decisions for us. Because we don't know what's going on. We don't know who we are. And our emotions are such a big part of us that if we neglect them, we become lost. I know it's weird. I know we don't like to think about our emotions as having that massive role in our life, but it does. And trauma is usually just emotion that hasn't been processed properly. It's usually a very strong emotion to an event that caused us deep fear or insecurity that needs to be processed, that we just choose unconsciously. We unconsciously choose it because our brain has defenses against harmful activities, harmful things. Our body is just one massive self-defense system. We're always fighting something. Our job as a conscious being, as beings who have awareness, is to take the most upfront, strong energies, those emotions that we feel right then and there, and to process them consciously. If you let our body do it, it will usually choose the suppressive path, or it will choose the path of, let's store this somewhere else. And that storing of somewhere else usually causes illness. So I'm sitting still, not necessarily because I feel sick or I need to heal something. I do need to heal something, but it's not like a physical illness. My illness is very clear. My illness is my trauma, how it affects my relationships with people, how it affects my relationships with the world. And that needs to be looked at seriously. And if I don't do it now, I fear I might not be ready for fatherhood anytime soon. My wife wants kids. And I think I want kids too. I think I'm just afraid of the concept of taking care of another life. I don't feel that responsible, to be honest. So taking time now to process, to heal, to be still is vital in that role. But yeah, if you think you're dealing with something, if you feel like your life is in chaos, if you feel like there's a lot that's going on that you don't understand, if you feel like you're in a rut, take some time to be still, to be quiet. That stillness will lead you to the answer for usually some of your biggest problems. But we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to be considerate to ourselves. And I know in this day and age where money rules all, capitalism rules all, we're struggling to find time for ourselves. But I'm getting better. Each day, I'm improving. I feel more stable. I'm a better husband. I connect to my friends better. All because I'm processing what's going on within myself. And it might seem like you have no time at all to do that. But small pockets of windows where we think we need pleasure, substitute that for some mindful stillness. Pleasure. Some people think it's absolutely necessary. Some people think it's not. I'm not going to debate whether pleasure is good or bad, because I know it has its benefits. But in this day and age, our pleasure cycle has been hijacked. Everything around us is pleasurable. You're always being sold something to make you feel better, something to make you better. You're always being sold the idea that you're not enough. But where I am with pleasure right now is I have too much of it. And I don't think the modern human realizes that they have way too much of it. And what happens is our brain gets desensitized to all that pleasure, and then we go hunting for more constantly. We cannot sit still. ADHD is a thing because we've given our generations too much pleasure, too much dopamine. So where I am with pleasure right now, pleasure is always necessary. That's what helps us to go the right directions. But we don't know the right directions if everything is pleasurable all the time. Do you know, like a moth? The world is filled with light right now. Moths usually look at the stars and the moon, and they find their direction through the celestial bodies. And water as well. But we flooded Earth with artificial light. That is pleasure for humans. Pleasure in this modern society has been flooded throughout the population. We are moths to it. And until we can turn it off, we can never find the right path. We can never find that guide. So the next time you're feeling like you have some free time and you just want to relax and find some pleasure, take your power. Find some stillness. The right pleasure you need will always be in the present, will always be in the stillness, it will always be in the moment. So yes, you do have time. It's just that life has placed a lot of stress on us. And they told us the solution to that stress is television, food, and sex. Television, food, and sex. And drugs as well. There's so many drugs. They're advocates for everything. There's advocates for tobacco. They're advocates for marijuana. There's advocates to alcohol. Some of them are better than others, but all of them hijack our pleasure senses. And what you need more than anything else is not more pleasure, but to be still, to process, to bring down those oversensitized pleasure centers so that you can be a more grounded, stable being. Not like a hyperactive fly just buzzing about the place, always busy, always feeling stressed. And you bounce between stress and pleasure constantly. You know who you are. Always finding something pleasurable after a stressful experience. Because that's what we've been taught in our media, you know? Let's go to the bar, let's go and get some drinks. Yeah. Oh, I need marijuana. Marijuana has become like the biggest pleasure ambassador recently. Everyone's pro marijuana. It has so many benefits, which it does. It has a lot of benefits. But when you intake something that affects your mind, hijacks your pleasure centers, please understand you're going to destabilize yourself, your being, and your direction. All of us have been addicted to pleasure at some point in our life, and some of us still are. It's time to be still. It's time to feel that pain you've been avoiding. I know it hurts. I cried so much. There's a lot of pain that I had to fight, and then realized I don't need to fight it. I just have to let it be. That's your experience when you come off of the pleasure zones, pleasure cycles, stress cycles. You'll feel pain. And it's okay. The pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to evolve you, if you let it. So, are you currently in a pleasure cycle? Are you avoiding your stillness? Let me know in the comments. And let me know if you're on a journey as well to heal that cycle, to heal those traumas. And how's it going? I'm always open to hearing your feedback. I just turned 30 and I just released a video about turning 30. If you haven't already, I'll probably find a way to link it, but it's on my channel. Please go and check it out and have a blessed day.